Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chasing Psychological Safety. We are talking about the book today. It's not going to happen all the time, but we figured we would tell you to a degree kind of what ideas went into it. I'm not really big on, believe it or not really big on self-promotion, not really big on repeating things, but it's probably a good idea that we explain how come we have come up with the fact that we need to clarify some concepts in the book. The number one thing that I'm sure you may have read elsewhere, because we keep saying this, it's a big theme, is the fact that the book is practically a bridge between one side of the industry and another, one side of the community and another, essentially the IT side versus the people side, or rather the DevOps side and the HR side, however you want to split the two, and however you want to think of the community and of various industries. What happens is there are some people that have been mandated with looking at the human aspect only, and there are some people who have been mandated with looking at the technical aspect only, but both of these communities hold a lot of knowledge and have to meet in the middle before we can see psychological safety and healthy cultures. And if you look at the book, it goes through some of these concepts, and to kind of solidify that bridge even further, there is a foreword by Professor Dr. Amy Edmondson, which I'm very grateful for, and then there is an interview with the Jean Kim, which I'm incredibly grateful for as well. But those two sides of the equation are the two really leaders that are, to my mind, at the forefront of pushing this connection between people and people, really, and how looking at psychological safety in between those two flanks is all we can do so that we see organizations move forward. But the structure of it is what we were going to talk to you about again, because you hear us talk about this over and over again. You'll see it again in the book. There are some major ideas there that we hope you can kind of subscribe to or debate us on, but we'll go through them again today.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons for the work that we do and for the book itself is that the world has changed. We need to be looking not just at the future, because the future has arrived. We are here right now, and the world has changed, and the way that we need to work has changed just beyond compare. The work is so dependent now on the group dynamic, on the team dynamic, and on bringing people together and creating really healthy, powerful, high-performant team environments, that this work, this book, the writing in it, is essential with regards to understanding that, thinking about that, and kind of just, again, creating a space for debate, for agreement, for whatever it might be, around that idea that today's work is already the work of tomorrow, and we need teams, interdependent teams, teams of teams, to be successful, to be able to do that work, and to innovate for the future as well, and keep that cycle going.
Exactly. Another big part, which is essentially a chapter, is one called process versus people, and kind of how does Agile feature into all this. So aside from the fact that I have an Agile fetish, I think of myself as an Agile anthropologist, if whatever you want to call it. It's just someone who is convinced that that's how life should be. And I think anyone who has spent enough time around Agile would have to kind of agree that that's the only way that you're going to get things done faster and better. And it is in a sense the height of creativity you can bring in a team, and it is the way in which you can bring the best out of people, and where the connection is, which is you'll never really have Agile, the ability to make things fast, creatively, collaboratively together, and in a fashion that's incredibly quick-paced and intelligent, unless you have a team that is gelling in that way. So the evident connection to my mind is Agile teams have to, by definition, be very evidently psychologically safe. And I think understanding that it is about the human dynamic in a team, if we want to have Agile as essentially a process, then that's incredibly important, and it's a mindset change a lot more than it is exact step by step. So there's an entire chapter going through, for those of us who are not familiar with it, what is Agile, why is it a mindset, and why is it not just standing up in a stand-up, and then kind of connecting that to the topic of psychological safety and of teams that have it in their dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, building on that, the next section or chapter of the book is really about searching for high performance teams, or the search for teams that are high performant. And one of the key myths that I think we need to bust here is that the term high performance is a dirty word. It's not. It may have become a bit of a commonly used word, and then as words become more commonly used, people tend to start to kind of shy away from them, or they're looking for the new bright shiny thing. We need to keep ourselves on the hunt for high performance in teams, and that doesn't just mean pushing the process agenda or pushing the the hard numbers. It means making that link that we're making here between people and performance, between different sides of the organizations, because when you bring those together, you really get high performance teams. And that's such an important part of working with psychological safety and working with teams and looking for that level of performance in teams. If we can start to really stick with that search for high performance in teams, make it your goal is the wrong word because you never reach the destination, you're always on the journey, but make it the very heart of what you're doing, and then obviously psychological safety will naturally become the core of that work. Then we know that we will continue to head in the right direction.
And we talk about this in many ways these days, and I feel like the dialogue had gotten some clarity over the past year, and then it feels again like it's going back to its groove where unfortunately you get way too much noise, and there's a lot of terminology, there's a lot of proprietary trademarking left, right, and center. I shouldn't talk, we own a couple of trademarks ourselves. But with that said, I'm a really big advocate of everyone keeping the language simple and clear and keeping the concepts we work with simple and clear, because you have to remember we're working across, as I said, across communities, across industries, with people who have their hearts in the right place, but are facing monumental challenges in moving big organizations towards a place where the humans count more than the process or the technology. And so to make everyone's life easier, we have got to stick to very clear and clear-cut concepts. So a lot of some parts of the book are returning to this, which is do an audit of all the language you're using, do an audit of all the things you're saying, and make sure that you're always returning to the core concepts of it. So for instance, when we talk about psychological safety, we have to talk about the team dynamic. We have to talk about what does that look like? What are the good behaviors of psychological safety? What are the bad behaviors of psychological safety? And in no uncertain terms, we can leave nothing on the table. We can no longer talk about fluffy concepts. We cannot talk about various bits and pieces that are just theoretical. And we can very clearly not have this attitude in which we just kind of confine it to a discourse that happens on Fridays in some enterprises, and it's just as I said before, out of clarity and out of action. So take psychological safety, split it into behaviors, make sure you make it into a measurable thing, make it the core of how you change culture, make it the core of why you feel the same way you feel about your humans. Stop playing with the noise, stop allowing the many concepts to invade your conversation day by day. Just focus on what's important. Psychological safety will immediately deliver on big change towards this human debt that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing to really focus in on there is putting a number on psychological safety. So getting the data. Data is good. Don't be frightened of getting data on psychological safety. Google did it. We know they've got it. We know they've got a number, and we all want that number too, because as we move into a new age of learning and a new age of learning as teams, data is really going to be at the heart of that, and getting really good and successful and open to what the data can teach us is what's going to shift the needle fast for the teams that embrace that first, and it's going to shift the needle fast but later for the teams that embrace that later on. We can do lots of great work, face to face and working with people and talking, but really, we're getting the data to support our decisions and to support our actions and to support our feedback around psychological safety. So that's what's going to support our growth going forward. Right.
And as ever, we're making no secret out of this. The book is written because we've made software at the time there was a time of crisis, and we've learned from all the teams that we've worked with. Some of those learnings are in there. Some of the learnings that came before us in studies and in research are in there as well. But beyond buying the book, this here is not a play for us to kind of become rich from everyone and the dog having bought it. It's not a New York Times bestseller type of book. It's only for us that want to make business better, and we want to make the lives of our agile, technology, knowledge-driven teams better. Again, I have no ambition of becoming the next whatever the name was. This is not 50 shades of anything. It's too many shades of gray in organizations. It's all about HumanDebt. And it's all about, let's clarify this, let's get enough light, let's find the tools, including ours. Obviously, we make software, it's not a big secret. And let's return to why people are important and not technology, not process, irrespective of what it says on the cover. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to us today. Thank you for witnessing our very human conversation today. We're just trying to talk to you about the book. And as usual, when we talk about things in a virtual environment, we've had people in the background, we've had stumbles. This is just an open conversation with you guys, and we're hoping to kind of keep it even more open from here on. Do buy it or do read it somewhere so that we can have that conversation. Talk to you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.